control of the state Supreme Court comes down to your vote tonight. Jason Calvi questions the two candidates.
Yeah, that's right, Kim. Just two candidates, meaning there's no February primary, just the April election. Liberals are backing one candidate, conservatives support the other. The Wisconsin Supreme Court decides some of the most pressing and controversial questions, like abortion.
That's a pending case in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Not appropriate for me to weigh in. It's really important for judges to wait and keep an open mind until they've got all the facts in front of them. They've heard the attorney's arguments on how the law should be applied, and only then should they be making a decision on any issue.
I can't prejudge these things. I have to see the briefs. I have to hear the arguments of the lawyers, and then I have to compare those to the current law, to the Constitution, and then decide that. Any judge who can't have that kind of patience, they shouldn't even be a juror, much less the judge.
Liberals backed Dane County Judge Susan Crawford. She was once a prosecutor and a private attorney, including representing Planned Parenthood.
I'm running this race as a judge. I'm running to be a fair and impartial justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, to make common sense decisions that protect the rights of all Wisconsinites.
Conservatives back Waukesha County Judge Brad Schimel. Earlier, he was the county's district attorney, and then Republican Attorney General.
As the last 6 years as a judge, just like that umpire puts on their black uniform, I put on a black uniform too, a robe, and that robe, it isn't a fashion statement. It's a symbolic statement that we have to be objective.
Right now, liberals on the Supreme Court have a one-seat majority. In April, you'll decide whether it stays that way or flips back conservative. And Wisconsin in 2023, it set the national record for Supreme Court races with more than $50 million spent. Get ready for a lot more mailers and ads this year.
Jason, I almost expected it to start like right away, but we still maybe have a few days before.
A few days.
Yes.
Take your breath from the November election that we had for presidential. One of the things that's at play is there's no primary. You didn't know for sure if there were going to be, if there were going to be 3 or 4 candidates. Like the last time it was 4 candidates. This time there's just 2. There's no primary. Go right to April. We're already in the general election now.
It's so interesting because both of them saying the same thing, that they'd be impartial. That's right. Let's not be fooled. I mean, the conservative groups are saying, hey, that's our guy, and the liberal groups are saying that's our woman right there.
Exactly. But
so much, this is not new to us here in Wisconsin. This has happened in the last few Supreme Court races, and one former Supreme Court justice you talked to says, because of this, we need to change the system.
Jean Geske is calling for, actually, she said she used to support having elections of the Supreme Court justices. She said no more. She says she's seen too much in the last couple elections.
It's just got too partisan.
Too partisan. She says they should be appointed, and there's a confirmation process. I asked both of these candidates today about that issue. They said no, they want to, they said it's a hypothetical question, but they said there's pluses and minuses both ways of doing it, and there would be negatives if they had an appointment process and then having the confirmation process. They said look at what goes on in Washington, D.C.
All right. You have until April to make up your mind on who you're going to vote for.
Right.
Thank you, Jason.